You know, not every mobile game is bad, but not every mobile game is good either. The market is completely oversaturated now, ads every 5 seconds, in-app purchases begging for your money, and it's rare to find a game that's actually just good for what it is. Now this is a part 2 of lost mobile games that actually matter, and before we get into the list, if you're curious about Infinity Blade, I'm not fully covering it here since I did in part 1. But I do want to mention it real quick because I honestly think Infinity Blade is where mobile gaming really peaked and the whole reason I started this series in the first place. It was insanely ahead of its time and it's basically lost media now. Outside of some old iOS files and a handful of rare arcade machines, which is really cool, you can't play it. It never released anywhere but the Apple Store, so there's no Android APK, no easy way to experience it. Only a few nerds can dig it up, and that's what makes it so fascinating to me. I've always wanted to make a full video on it because of that, how a game this beautiful is essentially just trapped in time. But before we get into the games on this list, I'd really hate to ask, but I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers, and if you could like the video, it really helps. And if you don't, feel free to dislike it, or maybe even leave some criticism in the comments, constructive or just straight up harsh. Every bit of engagement matters to me. But with that said, let's actually get into the interesting stuff. Now the first game I want to talk about is kind of an honorable mention, and this game isn't exactly a masterpiece or even objectively good, but I know I and a lot of others still really enjoyed it. And that game is the original version of Ark Mobile. Now I know what you're saying, this game is still on the App Store, but it technically isn't. The remastered version is. It's not the original Ark Mobile game. That build got completely scrapped, so let's talk about it. Now some people could say this is a bit of a biased pick because I have like 4,000 hours on the actual Ark game, but the first ever mobile port, it was way more casual, way more chill, and you could really just hop in and anyone could have a good time in it. It wasn't nearly as sweaty and hardcore as the PC and console versions, but at its core it still was just Ark. Just a dumbed down, janky mess version of it. The mechanics were sloppy, the controls were weird, but it had this weird charm that you can't get on the PC and console version. It just doesn't capture it like this. I actually played this game for the first time not too long ago, a few years ago, but I know if I was a kid, this is the kind of game I would have loved, even if I didn't fully understand it. There's something about this version of Ark that you really can't get from playing anywhere else. Now I really don't think Ark needs an introduction, most people know it, but in that case, here's the gist of it. Ark is a survival game where you wake up on a mysterious island filled with dinosaurs, you have to gather resources, build bases, you know, survival game stuff. But you can also tame creatures in this game, which is really cool. And you basically try not to die in the process. The core game is huge, complex, and can be really intense. And especially if you're playing PvP, which is what I enjoy, the PvP can get very intense, raiding other players' bases, stealing their dinos, defending your own. It can get chaotic fast. And I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, you could actually raid other players on the mobile port too, not just console and PC, which makes it even crazier to think about. So yeah, this port lacked polish, but I don't know, I prefer this version over the remastered version that you're able to download today, and it kinda sucks that you're just not able to play this game anymore. And Ark always will hold a special place in my heart, so I just wanted to put that first. But before we get into the first actual game on this list, there's something important you need to know if you don't already. There are a lot of mobile games we lost and completely forgot about, and a big reason why has to do with a mini APPocalypse back in 2017. So what does that mean? Well, when Apple released iOS 11, it dropped support for 32-bit apps and only supported 64-bit. I guess Apple realized it wasn't worth it keeping 32-bit support for old, unmaintained apps from developers who had long abandoned them. They gave these developers years of notice, but in the end, the apps were gone, just like that. And that happened to affect the game I want to talk about next, which is High Noon. This was an old western cowboy game that made your phone a weapon. You literally holstered and drew your gun by tilting your device, dueling real players in real time. This game was unique, fast-paced, and a ton of fun, and it completely vanished when the studio behind it shut down in 2016. You can't just download it anywhere now, it's gone from the App Store and Android, only surviving in archived videos and the memories of its players. I'm sure you can get an APK for it, but it's almost pointless since this game relied a lot on multiplayer battles. Now High Noon wasn't perfect, it was a very early mobile game and we know how those were. They were pretty janky. But watching gameplay of it, I almost feel like it would still hold up. And the game wasn't very complicated at all. Real-time duels or against bots in a Wild West world. But PvP this early in a game wasn't necessarily heard of. It's definitely an early adopter of it. You could earn in-game money from dueling, but it didn't always have to be against real players like I said. You could pick NPC opponents too. And winning duels let you upgrade your character, but most of the upgrades were just cosmetic, which I liked. It's usually just like a new gun skin and outfit or some gear appearance. That meant there was no pay to win nonsense like you get nowadays. You could enjoy the full experience without dropping a dime if you wanted to. And it still felt rewarding and tense every time you dueled someone. Part of why I loved High Noon so much is because it was personal for me. When I was around 10, I wasn't allowed to play Red Dead Redemption 1 after my mom watched me playing it. Like, I was literally tying up some dude and taking him to Mexico on a horse, but anyway, I really love this game and wish it was still around. This game had it all, from good PvP systems to the art style. It's certainly one I miss. Next up is Battle Bears, one of those games that cycled in and out of people's memories because there was so many versions of it. It used to come and go on different platforms and stores over the years, but if you were early into mobile shooters, you might remember this IP and some of the characters with it too. It was developed by COD WAW starting back in 2009, and Battle Bears was part of a whole series of mobile shooters that pushed what phones could do at the time, honestly. It was actually one of the first mobile shooters with real-time multiplayer and fully animated cutscenes. It even had cross-platform PvP between iOS and Android. Like, how did we have cross-play in 2009? That's insane. But there was all sorts of entries in the franchise, from the original Battle Bears to Battle Bears Zombies, where you fought waves of these like deadly pink things. And then there was later even a Battle Bears Royale and a Battle Bears Gold, which the Battle Bears Gold was like a class-based shooter, almost like Team Fortress or Overwatch, but on your phone. And I think what really made it stand out was the mix of cartoonish characters being armed with guns. Like, you ever played a Naughty Bear or whatever it's called? It's kind of like that. It's actually nothing like that other than bears having weapons, but yeah, you know what I mean. For a mobile shooter at the time, you couldn't really ask for much more than Battle Bears, and I'm gonna get hate for saying this, but I do think a few Battle Bears games might have been better than Pixel Gun 3D, I'm not gonna lie. The next one I want to talk about is a game you've definitely heard of, maybe even played, and that's N.O.V.A 3, short for Near Orbit Vanguard Alliance 3, also known as the Halo clone. This was Gameloft's big sci-fi first-person shooter on mobile, and I'm sure you heard of Gameloft. They made a lot of games from our childhood on mobile. But yeah, this game was released back in 2012 on iOS and Android, and unlike a lot of mobile shooters at the time, this game had real FPS mechanics, a full campaign with a story, vehicles, tons of weapons. It had everything. Single player and multiplayer modes, it was amazing. It even supported up to 12-player battles in modes like Deathmatch and Capture the Flag, which was absolutely insane for phones back then. If Infinity Blade is the Dark Souls of mobile games, then this is definitely the Halo of mobile games, because this game seems amazing. What made N.O.V.A 3 stand out was how it took that classic console PC shooter feel and squeezed it into your hands, but not in a way that felt gimmicky. I've heard a lot of people say this game was very coherent for what it was, like COD Mobile levels of coherency, which was crazy for that time period. You had a legit storyline where you fought to save humanity across different worlds, big arsenals, vehicles, and mechs you could use. This game gives me a lot of different vibes, like the main dude kinda looks like the Crisis guy, but it also looks like Halo, but there's also like Battlefield elements to it. I don't know, it's crazy. And unfortunately, that's all I really have to say about N.O.V.A 3, and I want to keep this one short because, full disclosure, I'm kind of a poser and never actually played it. My girlfriend, however, begged me to include it in this video because she had a ton of fun with the game, and plus I saw a lot of comments from the last video asking for it, so I figured it deserved a spot, and it definitely does. Even though I didn't play it myself, I've always knew about it, and it's clear why people love this game so much. I mean, just look at it. It's crazy you can have this on a phone back in the day. So now we get to the last one, and alright, you know Call of Duty, but there was a mobile version that gave you the full World at War Zombies experience, and I actually played it. And honestly, for a phone game, this was really ahead of its time. I spent hours on this one with my friend. He used my iPod Touch while I played on my phone, and we'd try to survive as long as we could, like classic COD Zombies. It was literally just World War Zombies, but on a phone. Bro, I used to think I was so good at this game because I used to like camp in the top floor and knocked. Like I didn't open the middle staircase so that no zombies could get in through that way, and I would just like sit in one spot till around 30 just shooting the hallway. It was so much fun though. But unfortunately, it eventually got pulled from the App Store and the servers shut down, so you can't just play it anymore. Unless, of course, you still have it downloaded on a device or have the APK for it. But anyone who played it, including myself, knows this game's unforgettable. Just thinking about us struggling through rounds, laughing and dying with my friends and trying again, that's the kind of thing that sticks with you. It's literally like the COD Zombies experience you get on console, just on your phone. I had to convince all my friends to get this game, bro. It was so much fun. It just costed a few bucks was the only issue. And guys, that's gonna be about it for part 2 of Lost Mobile Games that actually mattered. From High Noon to World at War Zombies on mobile, these are games that really pushed the limits of what phones can do, especially for the time. Games that were ahead of their time, crazy fun, but now are mostly gone. Some of these games I played myself, and some I've just seen people love, but all of them left a mark on mobile gaming. And that's exactly why they deserve to be remembered. Even if you can't just download them anymore, these games were masterpieces in my eyes. And I don't really say that lightly, I really feel like these games pushed what phones could do in the early 2010s. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, a like would be very appreciated, and leave a comment with your own memories if you want to on the mobile games you miss, and I hope you have a wonderful day.